So today I'll be discussing the ISFP subtypes, character descriptions, and provide you with some evidence of key people that can fit this personality to demonstrate how you can spot these personalities. Just as clarification, the ISFP subtypes is a socionics term. If you want the Myers Briggs equivalent, it's ISFJs I'm talking about today. So as a reminder, this is ISFJ from Myers Briggs, but in socionics, the J is switched with P's for introverts, but it's still the same personality. So we'll start with the first subtype, and that's the introverted sensing subtype. And I'll provide you descriptions provided by Meged and Ovkarov. So in their interaction, they seem calm and soft, industrious, practical, and does everything with a sense of refined taste, often engages in fine art as a hobby, well-wishing, tactful, imposing with his or her presence pacifies others, tries to sympathize with other people, assist them, and provide advice, loves rest and comfort, likes talking about his or her perceptions, attentively questions his conversation partner in regard to his or her affairs, slightly delayed in his behavior and conversation, sometimes stretches out words, with difficulty formulating thought. Even if she or he speaks quickly, will not hasten to end the conversation. Able to speak with the same subject very comprehensively and at great length. Often smiles with confidence, nods her or his head to sign of support. Movements are smooth, refined, somewhat sluggish, appear to waddle and walk like a duck, dislikes seizing the spotlight, but her or his will combine clothes accessories nevertheless attract attention. So obviously some things make sense, some things probably wouldn't make sense, but I've highlighted the most important variables that when you're looking for an ISFP, subtypes, the introverted subtypes, you look for this characteristics. You look for the fact if they're calm and soft in their dialogue. That is a key structure that you need to look for. Next, you look if they're well-wishing, tactful, unopposing of his or her presence, as their presence pacifies others. This leads to the way how they speak, and when they speak, they sometimes have a sluggish tone when talking to other people. And as with the sluggishness, this translates to their gestures as well, in which they have a very lazy approach or modest approach when discussing with other people. And they tend to be they tend to take care of themselves in appearance. So those are the key structures, and you just need to know that tend to be very calm and soft in their dialogue, and it tends to be very sluggish. And that's the key structures when looking for the introverted subtype. Now for the extrovert subtypes, the feelings, these tend to be more difficult personalities to find. I found it personally difficult to find a lot of examples in the internet in comparison to real life because there aren't many, I guess, celebrities we can associate with this personality, but I still do have case examples I would like to show. So I'll first provide you a description and then show you key variables to look for when looking for this kind of subtype. So they seem lively, friendly, and unrestrained in conversation. Emotionally responsive, easily give compliments and closes the distance. May even takes his conversation partner by his hand. His lack of restraint carries a shade of familiarity. Shyness can alternate with joking remarks. Ironic quips easily turn into respectful and serious tone. Often jokes and tells even unpleasant things with a smile as to not offend the other person. Precautionary and careful. From time to time, his temper flares up, but he quickly appeases and is forgiving. Usually optimistic, merry, and upbeat. Likes to give and receive pleasure, often give compliments to people and render various service, knows how to cheer up or encourage someone, seems carefree, for he is prone to hide his negative emotions from others. Impatient and restless, speaks quickly and confidently with imperative declaring intonations. Has a quickly moving gaze that notes everything, sometimes cursorily, shooting side to side, other times deep and meaningful. His movements are assured and graceful and a bit of gusty. So it'll be helpful to note that when you're looking for these kind of personalities at the same time is that you have to take to note that this is still an introvert sensing feeling type. This is the key factor. So when someone's speaking, for instance, very lively and friendly, It doesn't necessarily mean they are this personality type. You have to keep note that when they're lively and friendly, it has to be more introverted, so they're still modest in their approach when expressing themselves. But I'll give you the key factors from this that will help you figure out if someone's an ISFP extrovert feeling type. So they seem lively and friendly, they lack restraint, carries a shade of familiarity, there's shyness, they can be very jokey, ironic quips can easily turn to respectful and serious tone. Usually optimistic, merry, and upbeat. I think those are very important. So it's a modest form of optimism and merriness. Seems carefree, impatient, and restless, speaks quickly and confidently, and his movements tend to be gutsy a little bit, but also very graceful. So when you're looking for this type, and they tend to be harder to spot, I've noticed, but there's still evidence. Notice I would describe them as they are lively, but still modest at the same time. That's probably the best way to see it. But it's also to notice that they are sensors and feeler types that are introverts. So now I'll leave you with some examples I found on the internet for these kind of personality types for both the introvert sensing subtype and the extrovert feeling subtypes. You may notice it, and it will be helpful to look at it yourself and see if I make right assessments or wrong assessments. But I'm sure that from my past assessments, these are somewhat on spot, but I could be wrong or right. But I'm confident that I have most of these right.
And I'm unabashed in my love of Paddington. And, you know, Winnie the Pooh, when I was growing up, was not one of my favorite characters, really. And maybe I missed it. Maybe I was too jaded, even as a child, to enjoy him. But there's something that's really sweet about Winnie the Pooh that is undeniable. And when you see him on the screen with that voice, says
let's just sit with that for a minute. Trump attacked Hillary Clinton's health during the campaign, but he made up his own doctor's letter? Enough is enough. World's Hall of Mirrors. But first, before we enter, let's make one thing really clear. Most Americans believe that the Russian effort to attack the 2016 election is a serious matter that should be fully investigated. Poll after poll has shown that. But among President Trump's base, there is deep distrust of Robert Mueller's probe. To understand why, just turn on your radio.
And a lot of Donald Trump huffing and puffing. Power play rests until September, starting today. It's been a season of seismic shifts on multiple political landscapes. The summer starts with Justin Trudeau's honeymoon ending in a popularity polling tie with the Conservatives. Here, in my view, are just 5 dramatic changes on the federal scene as our hiatus begins.
So good.
Yeah.
My daughter, my 5-year-old daughter North, and my 3-year-old son Saint are finally getting along. It's like the best moment as a mom.
Yeah, you want it to work that way. Yeah. And you have baby number 4 on the way?
Baby number 4 on the way.
So how have you? Just been going through so much in life. I've just grown, like, as a woman. Like, I always felt like a teenager almost my whole life, and now I finally feel like I've grown. Rock star on stage, playing in front of thousands of people, just seeing the happiness and just joy that they're feeling from the music and from watching me play. So I've never cried about it. I'm living my best life.
Think about that night, and I think my life would be tremendously easier if I had stayed home.
If you could go back, you would have stayed home that night?
Certainly, yes. In hindsight, absolutely.
And now, as a point of clarification, you said, my life would be so much easier. When you say, I wish I had stayed home that night, are you thinking about you and also Trayvon Martin?
Certainly, I think about them, him. I think about my family, all the families that have been put in any type of dangerous situation. So yes, I think about everybody involved.
Next level of fun and color and just pretty much an expression of myself. The must-haves in a glam room are number 1, variety of Kylie lip kits, great lighting.
Good chair helps.
A good, comfortable chair. You actually helped me find a good chair.
Yeah.
I need a couch in there for one of my glam.
When cosmetics in the law is considered like it's toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, lotion, it's you know, products that everybody basically uses, deodorant and, you know, makeup. Yeah. And so even kids products. So when I first started using lotions and picking out what I thought was the best.
The 6th and final season.
Sammy, for you, what happens next? Like, what are you going to do?
Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I have my stuff. I have no idea. I have my, workout, gear. I have my perfumes, my men's cologne, and a brand new, clutchlet purse that I just came out with. But I'm working on some branding things. Maybe, dabble into hosting. Kind of take after you a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, come up here.
I don't know. You never know what tomorrow can bring, but I'm open to just, being happy and successful in my future.
So
produced salami, you can add just a lactic acid bacteria directly into it, bring your salami to any temperature, drop the pH, making it shelf-stable real quick. However, you've never allowed your salami to develop an amazing flavor. It literally will taste like pork and acid and kind of tang. Gosh darn it, that thing is...
The ice cream that is probably adding a little bit of flavor. So let me tell you what I look for when I'm tasting ice cream. You can evaluate all ice creams on these 4 sort of facets of ice cream. Flavor, texture, body, and finish. Flavor is what you taste on your tongue and also in your experience in your nose, right? Texture is the fineness between your tongue and the roof of your mouth of the ice cream, or grittiness, right? And so ice cream can run that whole spectrum. Body is
added to the milk during the cheese making process. Those mold spores that are present in the milk come into contact with oxygen and start to grow or bloom on the outside of the cheese. And it takes about 2 to 3 weeks turning, patting, flipping of the cheese to kind of take that bloomy mold and get it to form a cohesive skin. The other way of doing it is take a wheel of cheese and you spray mold on the outside, and you immediately get an insta-rind.
Because it's the ketchup of our childhood, a ketchup that we formed an emotional bond with when it was one of the first foods that we could actually control ourselves at the dinner table when our parents gave us a bottle of the stuff. You know that this ketchup has a big market, a big audience. This is the ubiquitous ketchup in America. And because of that ubiquity, there's very high production volumes, which allows the price to decrease. Whereas ketchup